Right.
I
All
got some
situated, Peter?
graphic tools at home. so.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring this meeting to order, please. We'll start with roll call, and Dee and Kay are not here today, so our substitute. call the
That's right.
roll.
Sean Dwyer, present. Oh, yeah, that's right. Just like to bring this meeting, roll call, so, Ann Curlick?
I'm here.
Gosh, I'm not gonna get names here, guys, I
Bob
apologize.
Corbus here.
You just wanna list names off here.
Ralph
Well.
and
Luke, here, Sean, present.
Is that enough for a forum, or?
Yeah,
You just need
four.
four, right?
Yeah, we need four, so we got a forum, our quorum.
Quorum.
Off to a good start.
Yep.
Okay, first order of business, after roll call, is the approval of the meeting minutes, which I was not present at the last meeting, so I wouldn't be able to comment on that.
I move to accept the meeting minutes from January 21st.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay. And audience comments. Anybody have anything in the audience to discuss at the moment? Okay. So we can move along to the old business. Follow up on a FOIA request regarding water quality of Greenbrier.
Yeah, I submitted number 7 and no activity.
7.
Yeah, it's at 7 so far. So I've started doing them at the first of the month. So I'll do another one March 1st, which is what, next week, a couple of weeks
Yeah.
from now at least.
The place looks ready to move into now, almost.
Well, they don't have any approval from EPA on their well, so at least as of
Yeah.
a week and a half ago, they did, so.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what they're waiting for, but I'll try again.
Okay, so just, so I'm fresh in my mind, so you're requesting to the EPA to get this?
Right, in order for them to get an operating permit for the entire facility, they have to submit water quality samples from their well to EPA for approval. And they have not done that yet, and that's what I'm trying to get. And this whole thing started, if you remember, we were just curious what kind of, what the quality of the water was in the area in terms of contaminants and things like that. So we said, oh, Greenbrier's gonna dig a well, let's find out. Well, that's how it started, and 7 months later, we still don't have any information, but it's gotta happen before they open, so.
Because they still have to apply for a permit to open. Is
They
that
need,
correct?
they need the water quality samples to EPA before they'll issue an operating permit for the well, which means, they can't, if they can't use the well, then they can't really open, so. And they have 2 wells, so I would assume we're gonna get water quality on both, which is fine, because we don't really care about the 1,000-foot deep well. We're interested in the 220-foot deep, because that kind of mimics the residential wells. That was the idea.
I wonder if we can contact Greenbrier. I mean, somebody had to apply for permits here to do the construction, right? Do we know the name of the person that signs off on to acquire the permit for Greenbrier?
No, I assume that would have to go through the building
Does
department.
anybody work with you on that?
Why don't I find out when their targeted opening date is, and then you can work back from there? Because they'll have to get their permit to the IEPA, but they don't have to do it until they're gonna open up. So, I mean, you can continue as a private citizen and do your FOIA requests.
That's what I'm doing, yeah.
But let me find out, and it should be coming up shortly, their opening. So let's find out when they're gonna open up. I'll get that information to the committee, and then you can work back from there and kind of say, okay, fine, their target date is March 31st. And then you can kind of go back from there. Let me find that information out for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on the last topic? Then we can move on to the budget update. And again, I've been out a couple of times, so maybe Ann, you can.
Yeah, actually, I guess the question to Peter is, did you hear anything, and where are we on that?
Well, I wouldn't have heard anything. Oh, Peter Falcone, Assistant to the City Administrator, Liaison to the Water Committee. I have submitted the requested budget from the Water Committee, but I wouldn't have heard anything back yet.
Okay.
The first budget meeting we're going to have for the city is going to be the 25th, Saturday the 25th, here at 8:30 a.m. It's going to be actually in this room. So that's going to be the first time the budget's discussed, and that openly and even as far as the council is concerned as well. It's the first time the proposed budget is presented to the council. So the Water Committee's budget, requested budget has been sent to the Finance Director, so she will include that with the presentation to the council on Saturday.
Okay, and is that the meeting, is that an open meeting?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay,
Just said
It should be, if it's not posted already, it'll be
25th, next
posted Monday.
Saturday.
It's Saturday, what day would that be?
the 25th, right?
25th,
Saturday,
yes.
yeah.
Saturday, the 25th, at 8:30 a.m. here at the City Hall Council Chambers.
Okay, thank you. So the other piece then was we did, wanted to look at and get an idea from the committee of if we were asked to cut our budget anywhere, how would we prioritize the items in our budget? So a Survey Monkey was sent out, and we have the results of the Survey Monkey, which everyone should have in front of them. The first question was about which of the items in our budget would we consider the least important? The second question was which of the items would we consider the most important? And you could choose more than one, but it just gave us an idea of how the committee felt on different items. And so if we look at question one, we can see that the signage, the banner, was by far, I would say, the least important. So if we needed to cut something, we could probably cut that. And then we had some other potential items that we could cut, which are essentially tied. So we would have to have a discussion and see what else we cut there. Question two was which were the most important, and so the postcards and mailings were obviously the most important there, so we would not cut those. Brochures and flyers, speaker travel reimbursement. So those were the three big items that people felt were the most important items. So if we do need to cut something, I think there's one that's very clear that we cut, and a few that we would have to discuss and see, you know, depending on what they ask us to cut, we might have to cut all of those.
Well, another way to do that is to take the first one and cut. We know that signage would be the first priority to cut.
Correct.
And then go to the second question, and that would be the top priorities to keep. So
Right.
we wouldn't have to discuss it. We might, if we go that way, it might work itself out.
It could, yeah.
Without even having to make a decision on the ties.
Yeah, it's just depending on how much they ask us to cut, and if, you know, those three,
This is a city council workshop a week from today?
It's a budget meeting.
Will they have they won't have a copy of this, right?
not of our survey,
They
right?
won't have anything of our priorities then either, right? Unless we actually,
They won't
somebody
have,
actually shows up.
yeah, and, I mean, is that something we should submit to them, or, I don't think so. We would just
That can be
brought up during the meeting. And so I don't know if there's anybody here. I've got a commitment next weekend. I don't know if anybody here would be able to attend.
I could probably come in.
Okay. And then if they ask.
How do they know what we're asking for? That's what I don't understand.
They have our budget that we submitted. We gave Peter a copy of our budget. He submitted
They
that
have-
for us.
They have this, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me see.
I think this is I think that's the final one. Yeah, this was a markup. Is this 300, 150 changed to 300 on that one?
Should be, I had
No,
500 on that.
It was 500?
Yeah, the speaker,
Let me change it to,
Non-biased speaker, right.
yeah.
This may not be.
Peter
the final.
sent us.
Yeah, we
so
haven't
Peter
updated.
emailed us the final one that was submitted, so just check your email. The final one would be in your email.
so it's next week, a week from today, at 8:30.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, Ralph, if you could go, that would be
I'll do
great.
that,
Yeah. And bring a copy of this and maybe make some notes so you know if, will they ask during that meeting, or?
They will discuss, they're going to discuss pretty much every aspect of the budget that they have any
Okay.
issues with. Because this is new, I'm sure there will be a discussion about it. And it just would help to have somebody else there. I can try to advocate on your behalf, but I can't be
Right.
the person saying they need this, you know? So it would help if somebody from the committee was there. I can kind of, if there's questions during discussion, I can kind of try to smooth those edges because I've been involved with you guys for so long. But really, there needs to be an advocate from the committee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
and I-
normally runs that meeting then?
Oh, it's a city council meeting.
Oh, city council.
I mean, it's a budget meeting, but the whole entire city council's there.
Okay.
It's basically a special meeting because they never meet Saturday mornings.
Absolutely.
Right. We started a trend, I think.
Trendsetters.
Thank you, Peter.
I'm sure
So,
they're-
yeah, so,
sure they're
or
happy.
Ralph, if you can represent, and if anybody else has the time and can go, that would be good too.
Yeah, I'll show up and see what happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I may be available too. I just have to double check. Okay, no other old business? And now we move on to some new business. We have our subcommittee members here, if somebody wants to come up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jill Moscow, Well Water Subcommittee. At the January 21st Water Committee meeting, I volunteered to contact associations to get a general idea of expenses, particularly speaker fees. So I have an Excel worksheet, which I would like to provide you with the four associations that I called, such as the Illinois Association of Groundwater Professionals and the National Sanitation Foundation. Essentially, everyone but the Water Quality Association, the speaker fee is no charge, but they did say reimbursement of travel expenses would be greatly appreciated. So except for one, the Illinois State Water Survey, which is in Champaign, Illinois, we would have to estimate what those expenses are. But for example, they would be coming from Champaign. He said that's 320 miles at 55 cents a mile, so that's $175 plus tolls. But in essence, in contacting them, all four of them said that they would be pleased to participate and provide a speaker. And what they're looking for us now is a set date, confirmation of space, and the context of the water information form so that they can start preparing.
Great, thank you.
Great news.
And I also, at the second sheet is a synopsis of my inquiry, so you could tell me if I've said something incorrectly going forward, or if I didn't capture what we're looking for, please tell me.
Great, thank you so much, Jill. That's very, very helpful. Thank you.
So we could have up
Thanks,
to
Joe.
3 speakers.
Yeah, and I mean,
Depending on
we'll have to
budget,
look
but-
at the dates and see who can come, because not everybody may be able to come at that
But I mean,
time.
up to.
We could, maybe,
Right.
yeah. And if we're gonna do this every year, maybe we get one
Rotation.
from one year and, yeah, do a rotation.
Use the money for banners?
Easy.
You know, I think, when we have these programs, I think we'd be able to get some sponsorship too, which is not part of, our budgeting, but I can't see why people wouldn't participate in that fashion. So that's something when we do start.
Local, I
developing a
could see,
program.
but I could see if someone's coming from Springfield or Champaign or, right, that's a long drive. for
Right,
them.
I'm not talking
Yeah.
about the EP, I'm talking about private
Oh,
enterprise
it's a
that might be
sponsor.
participating with,
Yeah,
Because our first program, I have to say, Jill did a great job, and the people that did this while I was out of town did a wonderful job, and, given the first one, but now we have that behind us, I think we can plan toward getting some sponsorship in some form or fashion to help offset some of the cost. Not a major amount, but
yeah, that's something we can definitely, I mean, we'll probably need to put that on another agenda and discuss who we approach and how we do that, and what we want that sponsorship for going forward.
right.
And Paul, okay, so thank you, Jill. Paul?
Yes, my name is Paul Fisher. I'm a resident of Prospect Heights at 602 North Elmhurst Road. I brought a display for the Water Committee. If I could get your permission, I brought along a towel. I'd like to set it up I brought some other signage to be added to it, and after the meeting, if people would want to come up and give their opinions and suggestions, I'm looking for more ideas on the water committee signage, but I've got 3 examples that I cobbled up on my own, so if I get your permission, can I set it up on one of these tables here?
I don't see why not.
Sure.
Where's the,
It's right here.
oh, can't see that.
Yeah. It looks great.
It is functional. I tested out the plumbing end of it separate from mounting it, and I could possibly, if there was an outlet close enough, I could probably give you a demonstration today, but that's not necessary. What I'm looking for today is ideas on that signage to complete it. And I want to thank Peter for getting me the copies of the Prospect Heights logo. That was a big help, and my daughter did that on photo paper. So I think that's just on with a little strip of double-faced tape, but if I tape it there permanently, it should look a little better than that. But again, I'll set it up then, and I'd appreciate comments. And
Sure, yeah, yeah. And you said you had 3 different types of signage?
yeah, it's something I did. Some of it was stencils, and I tried it. I thought it would look better if it was done in script, like similar to the Prospect Heights logo, but I did the best that I could.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely take a look and give you feedback. Thank you so much.
Some artists in the group. Thanks to
right.
Peter for the logo. Is there a particular place to set it up right here?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, Jill?
While he's setting up a question, do I wait to hear from you on whether or not I should contact the associations again? Should I say I attended the meeting and you're reviewing the information, or, when? Do you want to give me further direction on that? Do you need further discussion?
So we actually have on the agenda today to talk about the forum date and planning, so maybe we can have a short or a brief discussion on that, so Jill has something to communicate back.
I think that's a good idea.
Any other, Sean, were there any?
I guess that's just a comment, I think, from our subcommittee standpoint. I think frankly, it's maybe lost a little bit of the excitement and steam behind it and participation. I think it's a big part of the SSA subcommittee. I'm going to be in contact with Sandy Stricker, who is the chair of the subcommittee, and just getting a game plan together as we enter, frankly, nicer weather and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to participation of the community to create SSAs or to inform and create excitement around it. And maybe we need to discuss as a subcommittee who might be good speakers around that process. But then at some point, if the individuals in the subcommittee want to create an SSA in their respective areas, I think action is needed in some fashion, and I think that's where the rubber meets the road, and there's fallouts naturally. It's not a large update from our end, but that's just my opinion, my feelings.
So one of the pieces that maybe to think about for the forum would be not just the process for creating an SSA, but the reasons behind why municipal water, it might be good to bring municipal water in, whether that's fire hydrants or whatever else. And so there might be some other topics the subcommittee could discuss and decide, if they want to bring someone else and an expert in some area to talk about the importance of it.
Somebody
Yep.
from the fire department,
Right.
somebody like that.
Or we had talked before even about property values
Insurance.
and insurance.
People, maybe? something
Right,
like-
so I mean, I think that would be a good question to pose to the subcommittee and see if there are other things that they would like to bring up and have someone at the forum talk
Specifically
about
for the
it.
forum, yeah, the speaker on that side. Yeah, I agree with that.
List of potential topics and people that might be able to speak on it, like insurance people, fire.
You know, I don't think there'd be a problem if they wanted to come up with some type of educational seminar on their own and then find a venue within the city and then do a promotion through us because you're a subcommittee member saying, you know, learn about an SSA, get the facts, not the fiction kind of thing. And then you can set up a date within your subcommittee, like we did, where we had both, you know, had the open forum with the general information on the wells and safety and SSAs, be more detailed and offer an opportunity to, you know, have a forum just for
Yeah.
SSA in general.
Well, I think
As
it would
opposed
be-
to
well, but I
being a
still
part
think
of the big
It would be good
main
to have
one.
it a part of the bigger
Oh, I don't
forum.
disagree, I
Yeah.
don't disagree, but who's
I
looking
I
for
think,
a
I
way?
think, I think at the end of the day, we need content.
We need action.
Well, yeah, we need content for the forum to make it worthwhile for
Yes.
those that are interested about that side too.
Yes.
And I don't, yeah,
So, and maybe that's something that can bring your subcommittee back together and bring that
Agreed.
excitement back into the subcommittee, is, think of it, as Bob said, as an educational piece and an educational
'Cause-
tool to help.
yeah, because I think the folks that were joining the subcommittee were very pro, hey, I want municipal water. And then, you know, and as meetings went, somewhere in areas that maybe they realize, oh, wow, you know, the master plan doesn't, you know, people north of Palatine, it's much more difficult and expensive to bring it up there, so maybe they lost steam, and then they realize how much actual work it is to do that, as opposed to being very excited about educating the community on it, right? And so when it was, what's in it for me, and then, oh my gosh, all this work, then the momentum fizzles out, which is human nature, right? But I think that's actually a good idea for direction for our subcommittee is let's find content to provide at the forum. And maybe the action side, I don't want to say is on not the back burner, but a secondary nature right now, but I don't know.
Action is? You feel
The action around creating an actual SSA. No update though on the the SSA going on by you know, south of Palatine, east of Elmhurst, north of Willow, from Brad Alpert.
How many people was that one again, or has that changed?
I want to say it was somewhere in the 40s only. It has not grown. Yeah, I can get that back too. I think it's more than 40 households in that area.
I thought I remember a number like 58 at one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, I had it listed, I believe. Yeah. 48 homes,
48, okay.
28 had a yes, one was a maybe, 18 were non-responsive at the time. This was as of December 14th. I haven't heard, and maybe that's something I can do. I'll reach out to Brad Alpert and get an update on where he's at with that. He was the lead on that.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sean.
Okay, then we can move on to planning block party, June 24th.
So we kind of need, I guess we'll need an answer around the budget and what we can do there, but I think for today, we could probably just discuss, do we want to have a table at the block party? I think Sandy said she was willing to have a tent there, so,
We can always make, if a banner is a low priority, we can make one up ourselves.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
somebody, I can make one up. Just get a strip of something and put it on the front of the table. Doesn't have to be fancy, just neat, you know?
Yep,
Agreed.
yep.
You know, that would be a good opportunity for Jill and the well committee, you come up with something you want to present, maybe have people from your subcommittee participate, not just our committee, and same for you, Sean, with the SSA people. So you have equal representation and something that you think's important.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I was going to suggest another venue. We have the Prospect Heights Community Days over at the police and fire station. And I'm going to be there with a display of my own for the police department, but that might be another way of getting the message out if we have people that were willing to man a booth or a table, whatever. Just a suggestion.
Okay, thank
When
you.
is that, Paul? Do you know? June, June 3rd? Thanks, Peter.
Hey, Bob?
Yes.
One thing, one of the days that you were gone, we talked about trying to make a connection between the block party and the forum, so that you start something at the block party and maybe complete it, or at least further it along at the forum, get people to come, people who come to the block party to come to the forum too. And we talked about a couple of things, a raffle, I think, was one. There were a couple other things. But I think we can maybe do this, and we talked about doing it with the well water. But I think if there was a way we could do that with the SSA too, and I'm not sure how that would work, but somehow introduce something at the at the block party,
Yeah.
with the SSA, and then follow it through, or
Incentive for
again,
folks to
further-
come.
Well, further along too, you're going to see progress. I think you were talking about people are kind of maybe losing interest a little bit. I think in some cases, you know, you talk, but people, after a while, they've been hearing water coming in and out for 40 years. I think if people would like to see something happen, and so if there's something we could do at the block party to start that process and have it at least be furthered along at the forum, you're going to get more participation. You're also going to have people who might be a little disillusioned all of a sudden say, oh, you know, I see something happening here.
Right.
As opposed to just talking about it. So,
Any ideas on what that might be?
no, I'm just a concept guy. So,
So maybe
But-
something to
well,
bring to the subcommittee and have a brainstorming session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're talking about bridging some
Yes.
topics.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if we had maybe an initial, and again, the well subcommittee and the SSA subcommittee, you can create some form of survey or paperwork, maybe you want to distribute, ask people to participate, complete, give feedback, emails, be another extension of what we're doing here in the committee, because that's what the subcommittee's for. So what Lou was talking about is kind of what I mentioned, is you guys bring in some topical matter to the forum on the 24th, and if we did something on the 3rd, get it out and distribute it and talk to people, you know, and get feedback saying, you know, what are the issues you're concerned about? What would you like to hear again, or go through in more detail by the time we get to the next forum after June? You know, the one, I mean, that's kind of what you're talking about, right, Lou?
right. We had actually talked about, in terms of the water quality, something like maybe having, or being able to get discounts on water testing to be able to give to people at the block party, and then have them get the test back, and then have somebody from that testing lab go to the forum and interpret those test
That's a
results
very
for
good
people,
idea.
something
That's
like
an
that we had
excellent
talked
idea.
about.
Yeah.
So,
And we talked about just giving as a giveaway, a raffle prize. So come to
Right.
the block party, you get raffle tickets. If you come to one of these meetings in the morning, you can get a raffle ticket. Put them in at the forum, put all your tickets in at the forum, and there would
Draw
be a
for a
draw,
prize,
and the
right.
prize could go either way, whether it's, doesn't, we were
It's a-
talking
it's
about
a-
a hydro flask, an
Yeah.
insulated steel water bottle.
Right.
It's not,
It's well or
right,
municipal, doesn't
municipal
matter.
water or well water, didn't matter. It was just like, here's a prize.
A water
Nice.
affiliated prize, right?
Right, right,
but I think that's an example of a follow-up.
right.
Doing something at the block party, and then having people come in and get it evaluated at the forum. Maybe there's, I'm not sure how to do it with the SSA, but
Right.
something, that concept maybe could, and that, again, that's probably a good, your next meeting, maybe have some brainstorming or something.
Yeah.
To come up with something that would, you know, that's progressive.
Have we got a date for the forum yet, or?
Yeah, the forum is Yes, well, we're gonna talk about that, I'm sure. I have.
Well, I mean, well, these are kind of all related,
Oh.
right? With the agenda, the planning for the block party, the forum date and planning, those are all
Okay,
related, so I think we
we
can,
do have, I talked to Christina Ferraro, who is the Executive Director of Prospect Heights Park District. And I gave her, based on our last meeting, we had come up with 4 dates prioritized. And I'd given her those 4, and she was able to give me confirmation on the November 1st date, which is was our first priority. However, she said because there's no charge, if somebody comes in with a wedding or some kind of revenue generating,
Sure.
they may have to look at the space or the dates. But she has, November 1st right now is confirmed, assuming that nothing else comes in. If it does, then the other dates were in order, were December 2nd, October 28th, and November 18th. So I think for right now, all we can do is go with November 1st. It is off-season, so I think that helps us. If this
Yeah.
were August, it'd be a different story, but, things are a little less over at the golf course. But, still weddings.
right,
That's a
still a
trend.
possibility, yeah, yeah. Can you give the list of dates again, November 1st?
Sure. November 4th is the day that we have confirmed, and then.
4th or 1st?
November 4th.
Oh, I thought you said 1st.
No,
Okay.
9 to 3, just like, I assumed we were gonna do the same thing as
Yeah.
2016. 10 to 2 would actually be the forum, but we want the space from 9 to 3 for
To set up and
and
tear
take
down, yeah.
So November 4th, then December 2nd is the second day, October 28th, and November 18th. And if you remember, some of the reasons, November 18th was last because it was the Saturday before Thanksgiving.
Right,
October 28th was, I don't remember.
After Thanksgiving?
Yeah, well, no, it's.
No, that's
it's
before.
Right after, it's right before Halloween.
Right
or
before
something.
Halloween,
I don't know if that. And December 2nd was starting to get kind of late into the season. So we don't want to, I mean, if we can have the date be someplace where there's less potential of a blizzard or something, to try to get people to come.
yeah,
So I think that's where November 4th comes in. It's only a week different it's only a week earlier than what we had this last
This-
November, so I think we're still pretty close to
yeah,
doing what we want to do.
perfect.
And, people book weddings pretty far in advance, so I think once we get to a certain point.
Right, right.
That number is gonna, or that date will.
Solidify.
become more-
I mean,
Yeah.
geez, at this point, even
Yeah.
in February,
Sure. Like, people are
I think
planning
April, you'll
weddings.
probably be pretty free of that wedding.
Anyway, so we have it confirmed at no cost to us.
Okay, good.
Great, thank you.
That's great.
And that, the 4th is a Saturday, I guess, huh?
Yes, all those dates were Saturdays. Yes, the same venue. I raved about the banquet room or whatever it is there. I mean, that's just such a great place. I mean, I was
That was
impressed
great,
with
yeah.
all the glass and the views, and I mean, it was just a really, really nice place.
And it was big enough, we could set up, and there was plenty of space for
Yeah, we were
people
able
to
to
talk,
separate it.
and, yeah,
That was
yeah.
very nice. So thanks to the Prospect Heights Park District.
yes, absolutely. So then, we've got the forum date, and then I guess we go back to Jill's question. She's got 4 potential organizations that are willing to send a speaker. Is it too soon to start thinking about
Maybe
this,
we want to
or?
wait until the budget gets passed. Huh? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question. So,
And we
but
can
she
talk
needs to
about
get back to them, so we'll need to, Jill, do you have where they're all from? Like, how far away? Oh, Stockton, okay.
Stockton
How
Champlain.
far in advance do they need, what kind of notice do they need?
Well, at this time, I think we are really far in advance, but as soon as they can know so that they can lock in the speaker and
Sure.
lock the date. So I could just get back to them and say, we're just waiting for confirmation on a few things, and then I will.
Yeah,
But
that
I've
would,
asked them,
that
to
would,
tell- I've given them the 4 dates, and I've asked them, this is our time frame, just to give them an idea.
So now you have the date, I think, right? So we can communicate
well, we
that date.
do, but
Well, we
it's
do, but-
flexible,
Again,
so.
Yeah, that's true.
So you might want to mention that to them, is that date is flexible. We will have a better idea of a solid date by, say, June?
Yeah, June.
I mean, that should still be enough time. And then maybe let them know that, yeah, we're still considering a few things, because I think we need to think about, and the subcommittee for sure, think about what topics
Right.
there would be for discussion. And
Hopefully that
I
will
don't know,
involve-
would the National Sanitation Foundation even have a speaker that could address municipal water? I don't know if that would be something.
Water and sewer are sometimes combined in terms of, like, departments.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe that's where that's coming from, I don't know.
So that might be something, I mean, maybe there's something there that even you could bring someone in on the municipal water to talk about. I'm not sure, but,
Well, I'm sure you've got public works directors all over the place, and you got one right here, correct? Or you've got, actually, you actually have a separate water department, I think. The city has a separate, I believe has a
We have
separate.
a gentleman in our public works department that
Oh,
handles.
okay. But it's all part of public works.
We're a little small to have our a separate water department, so, but in the larger communities, they do have a separate water department.
yeah, Jill.
In my inquiry, I said we are planning to use speakers on many topics related to water, such as water supply, hydrogeology, ground conditions that have a possible effect on our water, funding mechanisms for special service areas, etc. So I did
Oh,
throw out a
perfect.
few.
Yeah, that's good. That's good,
great.
Joe.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe if you could let Sean know what you put in your letter, and then if,
It's right here, yeah.
oh, okay, you've got it. So then go back to the subcommittees
Mm-hmm.
and kind of have a brainstorm about what
If
you
we-
want to discuss at this forum, because we have, how much time, I can't remember how much time we allotted last time. Did we have, last year?
Oh, at the forum?
At the forum,
4
yeah.
hours full, but then for
For
speakers.
speakers, like,
45 minutes,
I think it was 45 minutes, 30
it
minutes
sounds about
for, to speak,
And
and
then
then
15
15
minutes
minutes
for
for
questions.
discussion and questions, which there were a lot of,
And-
so I,
And
yeah.
I know our subcommittee, those that attended thought there could have been more time for Q&A, so
So
just as a
that's a
thought,
good,
as a
and
note.
I think I heard that feedback from a few other people too, that we kind of had to cut things off to move along. So
Sometimes that's
maybe
the
we
best
need
part of
more-
it, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we need more time for discussion. So that's where kind of thinking, we had 2 speakers on well water, we had the SSA, a speaker talk about SSA development. We had 4 speakers total, right?
Yeah, we had,
It was
Kurt.
4. Kurt and
we had,
One
Didn't
of-
Brad speak?
Brett, yeah. I think it was 4 total. So I guess that's the question. Do we want to stay with 4 and then try to allot more time? We'd have to look at that. What time they start, allot a little more time for questions, Q&A, and can we still do 4? And then from there, we can kind of pare down, get 2 topics that the well water subcommittee wants discussed, 2 topics that the SSA subcommittee wants to discuss. Good?
And you never can tell how much question and answer you're gonna have, you know.
Right, but I think to Sean's point, I got that same I had that same feedback, that people felt there wasn't quite enough time for Q&A, and so, there, a couple of those sessions, right, we had to cut people off and say, we need to get to the next one. Now, they had time afterwards to talk to the speakers, but still, I had that
Yeah.
feedback, so I think we do need a little more time for Q&A.
We could also have a booth with people manning.
Yeah,
And then you have any further questions, and then we could afterwards assess the speakers, what were people asking you, and so we get a better feel for the next time.
yeah, we could do that too. That's a good idea. Rather than, yeah, let's look at the timing. So I think in the subcommittees, you guys look at the timing and see what can be done. Because I think we didn't start the speakers right at 10, maybe at noon. So maybe we start earlier. Maybe we start at 10:30, right? We start the forum at 10. By 10:30, we start the first speakers and have a little more room that way. And I think people left right after the speakers ended. But if we promote the idea, yes, you can have further discussions with all the speakers, you're going to be here, and you can speak with them. If there's not enough time to get your questions answered during this session, they will be here. And, yeah, because I think if we do that and promote that, people will understand it. they'll be around.
Committee members stationed at each of the booths too, so that they could be hearing what's transpiring with the connections with the community as well.
Do we want to expand it? I mean, we have it from 9 to 3. Do we want to do 9:30 to 2:30 instead of 10 to 2?
Well, remember, everybody left right after the speakers were done, so unless we promote in some way that, hey, the booths are here, right, everybody's still here, it's okay to continue asking your
Well, you could
questions and
expand the
have
speakers.
discussions.
That's what I was thinking, is if you
Oh,
went
if
from
you wanna do
9:30
that.
to 2:30, instead of starting the speakers at 10:30, you could start them at 10 or 9:45. And you could expand it, either have more speakers or have them go longer, and
So we're talking about the format of getting questions and answers.
Mhm.
Would it possibly make sense to have the speakers have their time to speak, and then at the end have a forum with a panel of all the speakers up at the stage?
Oh, good
that's-
idea,
that's a
yeah.
good
Panel.
idea.
Yeah.
That'll
Because
keep
then
everybody there,
that'll
that's
keep
one-stop
everybody-
shopping.
Yeah,
Good point.
That's
and
a
they
great
could
idea.
ask multiple people their question, or multiple people could answer. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So
Panel at
changing
the
the
end.
format because we're gonna retain people for afterward.
Mhm.
And
a
that's what we publicize there.
That's a very
yes.
good idea.
Open Q&A panel session.
This way, no matter what you're interested in, somebody there can probably take care of it.
And, you know, you're gonna be waiting to ask your question, which helps other people hear the facts about something maybe they didn't care about, and they realize, hey, that makes sense.
Or maybe your question gets answered by somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good
Yeah.
idea, Bob.
Yeah, it is, very good
Yeah,
idea.
that's great.
So you're saying you have the speakers speak and then have a panel
Yep.
for the Q&A?
At the end,
Of however many speakers that were sitting together and answering questions.
It's worth thinking about, Jill, if that format it makes sense, because, you know, people then are hearing things that they may not hear, because once they hear the speaker they want and the question they want, they don't hear about the other topics.
Also, are you going to allow time for Mayor Helmer, like he showed up last time and he maybe wanted to make a few remarks?
I guess we can discuss that.
An
yeah.
introduction maybe of some sort?
That would
yeah,
maybe be a good
I
idea.
think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
And we'd invite him and see if he could come. Now, last year, he showed up unannounced. Maybe we just have to plan that could happen.
I would think you'd want to do an introduction, you know.
Yeah. that would be
Well,
great.
again, you know, this was our first forum, so it was totally unexpected. We didn't think to invite the mayor, and he was nice enough to show up.
I think
and-
we did. He knew, yes,
I invited the elected,
yes.
well, at least make
Well,
them known.
Thanks, Peter.
Right, but we didn't formally say we'd like you to open the meeting, but
Yeah.
we'd like you to attend, and then.
There's
we
good
didn't
odds
have
you
a
would.
Confirmation. This time, hopefully, we can get a confirmation, just so we can kind of plan it.
Lucky we had those banners to make sure he got in, you know.
Oh,
Our,
man.
our nice signage.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. I like it.
Okay.
Okay, so forum date and planning, so that, I guess we kind
That's-
of got an
yeah.
outline
November
here.
4th.
Yeah, I mean, those things all kind of go together, the planning for the block party and the forum date and planning.
Especially now
It's-
that we're trying to time together.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Now, meeting time change, what is, I
So
was-
there was a little discussion about changing the start time of this meeting to
8:30 maybe.
8:30 or 9, I think, yeah.
Any
so-
particular reason?
Yeah, people didn't like to get up this early,
I wonder if we'd
On a
have more
Saturday.
people in the audience if it was a little later.
and
I
that was
don't
the
know.
other concern, is that we might have more people attend or participate if it wasn't quite so early on a Saturday. Peter, I know, because you come in and you open up for us, I don't know how this would,
As
oh.
well, so I want to give
so,
whatever it's due.
yeah, so,
We have staff, so whatever you guys decide, we do.
okay. So I
have no
think,
opinion.
You have no preference?
I have no opinion.
Okay.
he has a preference, he's not going to tell us.
He has a preference, just no.
So I know just from, like, Kay would really like to move it to later. I think Dee mentioned that as well. I don't mind. 8:30 would be fine, or
either way.
9. Anybody else?
If we're gonna change it, why don't we change it till 9 then?
Well, the further back you get, the later in the day it goes. So if you have situations where you have to leave by 9:30, and not starting till 8:30, now we can run.
Personally, that, yeah, but that's just because young kids and all that stuff, that's all. But don't, if it has to go to 8:39, I guess
Worst
go
case
to
scenario
8:39.
is we leave it alone.
Well, which we could. The other thing we talked about is putting a time limit so that we don't go over, like, whatever it is, we make it an hour and a half, whatever it is, we put a time limit on it so that things that are planned can be planned after that. Because right now, it's kind of open-ended, and, it could go an hour and a
That's
half,
true.
it could go 2 hours. So we had discussed putting a time limit on it as well. So is there an idea for, I'm good with an hour and a half.
I am
And
too.
not going beyond that. If things don't get finished, then we move them, re-roll them to the
They
next.
become old business for the next.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't mind
Might still
time
be
limit.
new if they never got discussed. So are we good for, let's start with the first one. Do we want to keep it at 8?
I mean, I would prefer to keep it at 8, but if the majority wants to move it, then we'll move it, That's just my opinion.
I'm fine with 8 o'clock personally as well.
I would rather move it to 8:30, but
I'm okay with 8. And only because I don't really
I
care
think
about
8:30 would be good, yeah.
getting up. I'm more worried about, like, I know Sean sometimes has to leave, so that's just a half hour less we would have of his time, which,
Yeah.
would be
Which
nice.
is not that big of a deal.
Well, it is a big deal.
okay, well, it looks like I'm outvoted anyway,
Well,
so,
You and I are for
Why don't you
8:30.
put it on?
yeah.
Maybe we could do that
You'll have-
just because of K and D, obviously.
They're not here. Why don't we,
Right.
can we table it till next
Sure,
meeting?
we could,
Why
why
don't we
not?
do
We'll
that?
put it on the agenda for next meeting. What about, I guess we could put that on the agenda for next meeting too, how long?
And I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, to put a
I don't know if
time
there's any
limit.
negative
Probably
in
go
that.
together.
Yeah.
Well, instead of definitely saying an hour and a half, just as a thought, we put an hour limit with a half-hour contingency that's voted on at the end of that meeting, whether we can continue for an additional half hour.
Yeah, that's fine with too. Yeah.
Then we have some kind of a timeline, because usually we're pretty good about getting done in an hour, and if
I
we need to
know,
extend it,
Not always.
Depends.
We'll be out of here in an hour today.
Yes,
Okay?
we will, yeah.
but what I'm saying is we can say with the contingency of up to an hour and a half, so after, we have a goal of an hour, and then we.
Pending the topic and the importance of the discussion.
Yeah, if it's, we need to stay on time. I think part of the reason why we get longer meetings is we get off track and then kind of stumble around. So we know we have a deadline that we're trying to accomplish. Obviously, if it's important, we can say, would we be available to continue for an additional half hour? So it doesn't have to be a hard hour.
Agreed.
We can say, can we extend?
Right,
Because if we're missing people that have to leave, they're counting on leaving at 9:30, and we can't, well, then we
Right.
can't continue anyway.
Right.
yep. Okay. So that'll go on the next meeting agenda. Any other topics for the next agenda? We'll have the old business still, of the FOIA.
It'll be number 8.
Yeah,
I'll get an update. Well, obviously, we'll do a subcommittee update.
there'll be a subcommittee, yeah. One other thing to think about and maybe add to the new business for the next meeting would be, do we want to have, put together, say, a schedule of topics to discuss during these meetings, more informative, educational, things that we may have discussed in the past, but maybe there are new residents, maybe there are people who didn't hear it the first time around. That could be things like where you go to get your well water tested, the importance of fire hydrants, some of these topics that could then carry over into the forum in a bigger way. But we had some feedback after the last meeting about not having, now the last meeting was specifically targeted towards budget discussion.
Right.
But still, what are the issues that people are looking to hear and learn about? And do we want to put a schedule together on our calendar of maybe this month we're going to have a discussion on fire hydrants and the importance of fire hydrants, and maybe we'll bring someone in. This month we're going to have a discussion on this issue, and kind of spread that out through the rest of the calendar year.
Maybe reiterate the thing that Rich sent us on the zone, or not the zoning, but the village
Like the ordinance, or,
ordinances
yeah,
on keeping an existing well, even if you tie into,
right. Just,
City water.
it's a
Right.
lot of
That kind of
information that's
stuff.
already on the website and that
maybe
we've
just
talked
highlighting.
about,
Just
but
updates.
it's good to remind people of these things, and maybe somebody hadn't heard it before. So I'd like to put that on for the next meeting
Yeah,
to
I think we should.
kind of set a schedule and have some topics that we plan in
In a
advance.
framework.
Because the
behind it.
longer we go, I mean, there may be subjects that we haven't touched on in 9 months or a year or something. Maybe they just need to be brought up again, just to,
Right, so it would be a
Just
kind of a
for new people.
brainstorming session on what are those topics, and maybe we can get feedback from the two subcommittees on what topics, they're concerned about or want to hear about, what issues they want to hear about.
You retained your well, didn't you, Bob?
Yeah, I do.
And just use it for grass watering or whatever it is?
Yeah, external use, I use it for external use. There's a few other people that have done that as well.
you know, what I didn't know is that even if you, a lot of places, if your well goes bad, they don't let you redig it, but according to what I saw, if your well does go bad here, even if you have municipal water, you can drill a new or dig a new well and continue to use it for watering purposes or whatever, not potable purposes, but I didn't know that, so.
Yeah, there was a grandfather clause that was designed into it, so.
It was 2008, I think, at least
Yeah.
that's when the newsletter was.
Well, the newsletter was 2008, but all of that work was done in 5, 6, and 7,
Okay.
and culminated in '07, and then things got installed in '08.
But that, you know, there still may be people out there who don't know that, who think it's one or the other. You know, if I'm gonna get municipal water, I lose my well. Some people might still think that, even though it's common knowledge. I think that that's not the case. There may be still people who think that,
What would you say the average people in your area retained their well? How many did that?
If I were to, I'd be purely guessing, but I'm thinking about 15%. So it was really personal preference. It depends if you have a sprinkling system in your lawn or not, because there's no practical use of retaining a well unless you're using it for a sprinkler system.
I guess.
Unless you had a swimming pool, but even that's not practical.
Yeah.
Any other items for the next agenda? Anybody wants to?
before we adjourn, do we want to make this part of our meeting?
Yeah, we can, if we want to have the discussion on the signage and see how this works.
Yeah.
Very quickly, just in case this runs by, so our next meeting's March 17th, or 18th, I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
the Saturday? Is that right?
It'll be-
17th?
Yes,
18th.
it's February and March have the same day dates,
Yeah, the 18th.
right? Because it's 28.
You're right. Is that every year that's the case?
Well, unless there's a leap year.
Right. There you go. That's what I learned today. I will not be able to make that. We are expecting our third child on the 16th.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that might take a little precedence. So yes,
Is that the date, 18th? or-
The
18th,
18th, yeah, March 18th.
just as a heads up.
And then we're sticking with the 8 a.m. start?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, Peter, before I forget, I was going to ask earlier, when we were talking about planning our dates, when is that quarterly newsletter deadline that we run into, where last time we were late getting that out?
The next newsletter will go out the end of March. So then it's seasonal, so it'll be, if you're talking about like advertising for the water forum, we're looking at end of March, end of June, end of September.
So we gotta do it in March.
So the end of September, you'd have to have something, it's by September 1st, for the well water forum.
Well, that's perfect.
And really in March then, if we wanted to hit that June,
If we want to promote
block
the block party,
party.
yeah.
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 If you're looking at that, for the June block party, I need something in like the next 2 weeks.
Hmm.
I could
Do people
push that
promote
just
their
a little
booths?
bit further, but
I guess we should though. No, just thinking out loud.
well, there's the weekly news too, which we can make sure it's in the weekly news and on the website. Because I don't know that we're ready to say.
Is there
We're-
something?
Hey, we did it last year.
Is there something that comes out that says, these are the people who will be at the block party, representing whatever? Is there anything like
I have
that?
to speak with Christina at the Park District to find out. All I know is they usually just send out a flyer. I don't know if they have on there the individual entities that are gonna be there. I mean, that's something we're trying to see about incorporating. But I'll need to speak with Christina at the park about that.
Let's see this thing, Paul.
But, in fact, if we have a water garden, and if you wanted, I could throw some small goldfish in. Let the kids play.
Some lily ponds.
I don't know if you have any goldfish left at the end of the day, then, with my kids, I know that.
Then we can throw ping pong balls, they take goldfish as a prize.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, you might make some money on that,
There you go.
for your.
For our budget.
Yeah, right.
That's great.
Really nice.
The noise is nice.
Yeah. So signage, you'll have that one up in that corner, and then.
Yeah, like I said, it's just with double-faced tape, and I thought, either here, or over here, or one of those that.
Yeah, I kind of like how this matches up with,
Well, I thought maybe if somebody was better at it.
I'm not really,
Maybe the
if
font.
anybody is.
Right.
We told you what the font was.
Right, couldn't you just blow up the font and actually have a computer to tell you?
You could, yeah. Peter, do you know what the font is of the use?
Like, he knows everything, right? And then,
Who's covers for it?
There is
Let
one.
me ask you, who's got kids in school that, like in high school?
That could do that?
Art class, that can maybe do this as a project.
Oh, that'd be great.
mine are 2 years old.
Yeah. I don't have any, so.
Crayons, though.
Yeah, oh, gosh.
Crayons. I
I do like the
But you
cursive.
could, yeah, you can do this on a computer.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Right,
And so
so-
you could probably just have another one like that on this side that's done with the computer.
Okay.
That's something we could
Could that
decide.
be transposed to the photo paper, because that's
Yeah.
nice and
Well,
shiny?
it can be printed on the photo.
Yeah, if that was, then yeah.
Yeah.
definitely.
Then it would be all one.
Right, I like that.
Yeah, there you go. There's the concept. We just gotta put it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Do you want the lettering to be in red?
Oh, yeah, that was
I
another
would think
question.
blue,
Obviously,
match.
blue too.
If it's gonna, yeah.
Well, it
go-
would be water also, plus the match prospect.
Well, you could
Right.
do water in blue and then maybe red. Then it would be custom.
Should we have to vote on that?
Colors.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, I think if we
It
can
doesn't
get the
matter.
same,
I think we're,
Just blue.
find
well, I
that
don't
font.
think we have to decide today.
We don't have to decide today, but definitely. I love the setup. that you-
Me too.
that you put
I could just see
together.
that being the staple, that's the idea, right? Is that at any forum in the block party and
Yeah, so we'll
just
have,
people affiliated.
yep.
Oh, I hear water running, the water committee.
Yeah, everyone runs, yeah.
They got candy, I bet they.
Yeah, I like that.
Great, great. Thank you.
Very nice.
Well, I'm old school, and my parents, they came out of the Depression, they said, never throw anything out, and I happen to have this old antique faucet.
That's
Yeah,
good.
which didn't look anything like that,
That's,
but I polished the heck out of it.
Oh, that's a great faucet.
It's recycled, like,
Took a lot of polishing on that, didn't it?
I'm sorry?
It took a lot of polishing to bring that back.
Oh, God, yeah, yeah, it was pretty grungy.
Can you actually adjust the flow
I got
through
it.
there, or is that just?
Well, what I ended
Bye, guys.
up doing is
Yeah.
I reseated it.
So the handle doesn't really.
No, I got it locked in the old position. I mean, the pump really puts out the flow, and
What's nice about this is that there's
Let's adjourn the meeting.
Adjourn the meeting?
Because we only have 4 of us now and Sean had to go.
I don't know if you wanted to go, do you have a camera that can take a picture? I mean, a phone that would take a picture.
I'm sure.
The only reason, because I'm not gonna be here for the next meeting, I'm gonna be out of town.
I'll do it, Paul.
Maybe-
I'll take a photo.
Okay.
Paul, excuse me, Paul, we're gonna just adjourn the meeting,
Get it to
so if you
me,
can give us a break,
show
Paul.
her.
Thank you. All right, I move to adjourn the meeting at this point.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Now we
And
can
I'll-
have more.